Hello, I thought about making this the week of true wireless and wireless earphones review, but then I've decided to dilute that reviews a little bit with some other interesting models because I got a lot of interest in ear monitors in the queue, and today I will talk about one of the most awaited models. It's Shozy Form 1.4. I already reviewed Shozy's hybrid in-ear monitors 1.1. It's single dynamic driver plus single balanced armature model with cost about $85 that gathered a lot of attention recently. I will add links to the description if you will be interested, but today we will talk about their more high-end model Form 1.4. As you can easily guess by the model name, it's because here used single dynamic driver and 4 balanced armatures. Price is higher, they are available for pre-order for $200. Sometimes there could be any discount, but retail price is $200. I will add links to the shop in the description too, so we are ready to have a closer look. Speaking about the specifications, it's 16 ohms of impedance and 102 decibels of sensitivity. As you can see, package is pretty simple, and actually it's not the final version of the package because Shozy now reworking the package, and probably new batch will be available with some other packaging, but in general it will be something simple, maybe. Who knows? Currently it's really simple. Inside of the cardboard box, I need to move it away, there is traditional storage case with zipper, and inside there are the monitors themselves and pretty big set of tips. So I think 6 pair of silicons, so 3 pair of single flange, 3 pair of double flange, 3 pair of foams. So tip set is really decent. And here are earphones themselves. Case reminds or shell reminds the shell of Shozy Form 1.1. It's 3D printed from medical grade material, but now for the faceplate they've used stabilized wood, and it looks nice and it gives a unique swirl pattern to each earpiece. So I really like the stabilized wood faceplate, they always look pretty attractive. Build is really solid, they look seamless and nice. So here are vent holes, as you can see. They even put some metal tube for the vent hole to make it less resonating and better in terms of sound. So spouts have average lengths, so in terms of sound isolation they are also average. It will be enough for a noisy street or for some public transport, but not for subway or for the plane. And actually this outer part of the spout is pretty short, so there could be some issues with fit, especially taking into account that they using these smaller than traditional tips, but luckily there are spin fits, so with third-party tips this could be easily solved. There is a lip for holding the tips, protective grill, so all the parts of nice design are present here, so maybe you will need some third-party tips. Cables are made replaceable, here used 2-pin connectors, so just classical traditional 2-pin connectors, no recessed sockets or something like that. Stock cable as usual made of high quality materials, it looks pretty attractive. There is ear hooks format, no memory wire unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for me, because I like the memory wire, but many people hate it, so I think probably vast majority of people hate it, so for most probably for you it will be a good news. Nice metal connectors, and cable itself, it's a bit unusual, it's actually in some kind of fabric coating, and it has a slight microphonic effect because of this coating, but thanks to these ear guides or ear hooks, this microphonic effect is noticeably reduced. Nice big and bold splitter with carbon insert and bead-like chin slider, and after the splitter it goes braided down to the jack. So jack is straight, also metal with carbon insert. So in terms of design, cable is pretty audiophilic, looks really solid, and it's normal in terms of usability. Not the softest one, but definitely softer than average. It's not getting hard when it's cold, so looks really durable and attractive. And same applies to the in-ear monitors themselves. Nice attractive design, good package with nice accessory set, so all the exterior parts are done really well. And of course about the sound, slight burn-in required here, like about 10 hours or so for bass to settle, because out of the box it's sounding a bit slow and boomy, and afterwards, after this short burn-in, it became faster and leaner. And of course they require finding a proper tips, because with some bad tips that not fitting well into your ears, the bass performance will be suboptimal. We will need some player to show examples, and let's proceed to sound description. Most probably on the low frequencies here use the same driver that was used in Form 1.1, so in general tuning is pretty similar, and they have a slight V-shape in tuning with slight accent on low frequencies, but it's not big, so don't expect them to be typical V-shape tuned in-ear monitors, or don't expect them to be bass head. So for bass head models, Shozy and other manufacturers have other in-ear monitors. This one is tuned more towards the resolving side, but without being too natural or too monitoring. So bass accented, but accent not big. It has really good depth, but at the same time, because it's not having big accent, there is no sense of super mighty kick or super mighty punch, no sense of super rumbling low frequencies. It's more lows tuned towards the natural side of things. They are actually a bit faster than traditional dynamic drivers, with slightly faster attacks and decays. So it's sounding really fast, really technical, with really good texturing, and sounding perfect with acoustic instruments, giving them nice body, nice sense of presence, and nice sense of realism. With electronic music it's sounding, and with synthesized bass it's sounding pretty good, but of course it's lacking a bit of amount, so it's not tuned for such music. This could be fixed by equalizer, but I think it's better to get more bass heavy model if you need it. And I'm a more fan of natural sound, so for me this tuning is really suiting nicely. So as an example, a bit unusual track, it's Wardruna. I'm not sure how to read the name of this track, Runaljod or something like that. So it's classical Scandinavian folk, not Celtic folk, of course, but usually, you know, it's kind of a phrase that automatically came in mind. Say folk, and first word that came by association, it's Celtic. So no, it's Nordic Scandinavian folk. So there are a lot of big drums and throat singing here in this track, and all that parts require nice technical bass, and this in-ear monitors basically give it. So mids are pretty similar to Form 1.1 in terms of frequency response, but actually in practice there is a difference because of the weight. You know, you can't get the weight out of frequency response chart. That's why I'm always saying that frequency response chart is not enough. You need at least waterfall chart, and also it's nice to have the meander chart for some base frequencies like 30 Hz, 300 Hz, 1 kHz, and probably somewhere at the area of 10 kHz. In this case, you can get an idea of representation of in-ear monitors, but still, actually, it's not certain or perfect. So in terms of frequency response, they are close to Form 1.1, but they have more weight, and it gives more body for the instruments and for the vocal, and more realism. And while on the frequency response mids are recessed, they are a bit less recessed than in Form 1.1, so they are a bit more forward. Of course, it's not a huge difference, but still it's audible in the direct comparison. So everything on the mid sounding pretty natural, clean, clear, with good resolution. At the end it's balanced armatures with nice amount of realism. Of course, they require nicely recorded tracks to show the full potential. So that's why they are not super critical, but as any not super colored in-ear monitors, they require some nicely recorded tracks. And example for the mid frequencies will be Snarky Puppy. Really like this album. Actually, Runaljod. Sorry, here is example for the mid frequency. Snarky Puppy will be for the treble. So it's Northern Kings, like best metal singers united together to record 2 albums, and Reborn was good, and second Restaurant or something like that actually was worse, but this one is great, and Brothers in Arms is a great cover. Great vocal, really nice orchestral arrangement, and sounding really impressive, powerful, so really recommend this track. Especially if you like the original Brothers in Arms, just check this version out, it's really worth it. And with such a great vocalist and orchestra, this track requires nice and technical mids to sound at decent level, and of course it requires weight to represent the vocal and the full glory, and these in-ear monitors sounding really nicely with this track. And treble. So treble here is accented, but actually it's less harsh than in Form 1.1. I can't say that 1.1 is like super treble heavy, but for many people their spike on the treble was a bit too much. I'm a fan of treble, so for me it was not a big issue, but that model was not for treble phobic. This one is also probably not the best choice for those who like recessed treble, but here treble is more natural, more organic, with better resolution and a bit better extension. So treble extension is not the best one still, so they have recessed upper treble, and probably it's done on purpose to keep better with not properly recorded tracks. But anyway, treble here is more natural, and this automatically gives a bit better treble layering, bit better overtone saturation, and actually a bit more natural stage, because all that tiny overtones play their role in representing the room where record occur, or at least what sound engineers tried to do. Of course that applies to some live records, not studio ones. So imaginary stage is a bit above average in width and about average in depth, not the most spacious one, but still nice three-dimensional positioning, but not the biggest one in terms of staging, but not intimate or too congested. So treble I already discussed, and actually I already even shown the example. So here is it. It's Snarky Puppy and Beatbox. Nice track with a lot of different percussions, different bells and rings, and this in-ear monitors play this part pretty nicely in a really nice way. In terms of pairing, they don't require some super powerful source, neither they require something with super black background. Just some mid-range dub would be a nice pairing for them. probably like something like FIO M6 is the lower bound, and up to M11 Pro or something like that. I think actually FIO dubs can be a nice scale to show the level of required dubs, because they have probably the broadest model lineup right now. Speaking about the comparisons, Form 1.1 is thinner on the mids and simpler on the treble, with a bit rougher treble, so about the same on bass. They are really good, and actually if we took into account price to quality ratio, Form 1.1 will be better, because their price is like more than 2 times lower, and for that price they performs really nicely. At the same time, this model performs better, but I can't say like this one is 2 times better, but it's never works this way, and actually paying 2 times better, don't expect 2 times better sound. Usually like you pay 2 times better to get some imaginary 20% of improvement, and this in-ear monitors will give you even more. But anyway, Shozy simply released really good Form 1.1 and many like them, and some people don't see the sense in upgrading, but it's of course a matter of preferences anyway. And speaking about some other comparisons, what we've got in this price range, as usual I'm starting to forget other models. Hi-Fi Boy OS V3 is has a bit more extended treble, with a bit less spike but on the treble, but also a bit less realistic on the treble. On the mid they are more or less the same, and on the bass Hi-Fi Boy has a bit more accent, while this one has a bit less accent but a bit more speed. And as usual I forget every single model in this price range. By some really not comparable models came into my mind, like Moondrop KXXS. They are more linear on the mids and on the bass, with more noticeable upper treble accent, so it's like more monitoring with more focus on the resolution, while this one is a bit more organic. So I won't try to recall other models right now, just feel free to ask if you are interested, or browse the comments, maybe someone already asked that. So it was Shozy Form 1.4, really good in-ear monitors, spoiled a little bit by really great model Form 1.1. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.